Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar with Stryda. My name is Emily. I'm the Senior Campaign Lead here at Birchal. And just before I introduce you to the team, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land that I'm coming to you from today. Birchal is based on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and we pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. So today I am joined by Riaz, Zita, Kirsty, and David from Stryda. Birchal's
Hi there.
working with them on their upcoming crowdsource funding offer. A few of you might be unfamiliar with what crowdsource funding or CSF is, or you might know it as equity crowdfunding. It's a relatively new form of fundraising here in Australia that started in 2018, and it allows startups and small businesses to raise capital from a large number of smaller or retail investors, as well as wholesale and sophisticated investors through an online platform such as Birchal. So instead of seeking funding from traditional sources such as banks or venture capitalists, companies can turn to the general public, and often that's their communities, to raise money in exchange for equity in their business. Birchal Financial Services will be the licensed intermediary for the offer. And I do want to remind everybody who is here today that the information and discussion in this webinar is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as financial advice or a recommendation to invest. So I would implore you to do your own research and always consider the offer document and general CSF risk warning before investing. If you do need any more information or have any questions, you can find that over at birchal.com. Now, how today's session is going to run, the team at Stryda are going to take you through a great presentation all about the company, where they've come from and what they're looking to achieve with this capital raise, and then we'll switch to a Q&A session. So if you look at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll see a little Q&A bubble. So if you've got any questions during today's session, please pop them in the Q&A box as we go along, and we'll endeavour to answer as many as possible during the Q&A time at the end. We're also recording today's session, so if you do need to jump off early or you'd like to send it to somebody who you think might be interested in the offer, a recording will be sent around afterwards. So enough of me talking. Let me hand over to the team at Stryda.
Thank you, Emily. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, Emily. Hi, guys. First and foremost, thanks very much for expressing interest in the brand. Stryda's, I'm David Gibson, the CEO and founder of Stryda. Beside me, I've got Kirsty Basman, our marketing director, and Ria Shalla, our head brewer and operations manager, is also online as well as Zita Allen, who's our legal advisor and looks after all in-house counsel. So again, thanks again for jumping on, guys. Stryda is a very, very exciting project. Now our mission, I guess, is we'll start with that. We're trying to build an absolute brand powerhouse here, a brand powerhouse which redefines the Australian beer experience and ultimately proudly puts an Australian beer and an Australian brand on the global map. So to do that, community is at our core, and we're going to do that with a variety of different experiences, a variety of different community ventures, and try to ultimately put an Australian brand on the global map, as I said, and build a legacy brand.
Fantastic. So how are we going to do that, more importantly? So what I want to make really clear here is we're more than just a beer. I wanted to introduce you to Nick Kyrgios. He's our co-owner and brand ambassador. Why Nick? He's bold, he's powerful, he's going to help us really drive mass awareness. He sends his apologies today. He's training for the Australian Open, so he would have loved to pop his head in and say hi. But he really embodies and personifies what our brand is. Really bold, really fearless, and we're here to take on the biggest brands of the beer industry. And we'll talk more about Nick throughout this presentation. But the other key thing we're doing is anchoring our growth in real estate assets. So if you think about the McDonald's model, or if you think about Maryvale, we are literally going to be building a Maryvale. We've only been around for a short time. We've already purchased 2 venues, and we are really a real estate driven enterprise. So by owning venues like pubs, tap rooms, breweries, and distilleries, we're not only going to create great experiences, but it gives us stable revenue, multiple revenue streams, and growth and control. The other thing is, I mentioned it just before, but multiple revenue streams. So we obviously have our wholesale beer sales, but we also are moving into a massive merchandise line, really headed up by Nick Kyrgios. We've obviously got the revenue from our pubs, tap rooms, and breweries, and we're not actually stopping with beer. So we're going to be moving into whiskey and other spirits. The other thing is we want to be a truly global brand. So being global means we need to have international exports. Our ambition is super clear. It's to put an Australian beer brand on the global stage and make Aussies proud. Like, if you think about the only probably Aussie beer on the global stage is Foster's. And we've got amazing beer brands in this country, yet none of them have really broken through into the global stage. But with Nick Kyrgios and our strong team, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to make Aussies proud and put an Australian beer brand on the global map. But the most important thing for us is driving a strong community. Our vision is to be a legacy brand, and that means giving back to the community. So we're fostering local connections, we're investing in local community sports, and we're really driven to make a positive impact. What you see there is an image of the Nines football that we sponsored, but we're also sponsoring the Irish Exiles and many other community sports. So our strategy, what is our strategy to achieve our mission? So really 4 key things. We want to bring a new energy to the beer scene. So we want to shake things up. We want to do things differently. And we want to bring a really cool urban edge to this brand. As we touched on slightly, we're building a multi-dimensional business framework, really underpinning that with real estate, multiple revenue streams. And this ensures that we can challenge the industry giants. We're not stopping at beer. So the third strategic pillar is expanding into whiskey, spirits, international markets, really creating an iconic Australian brand. And the fourth, and most importantly, is really supporting community and connection. So the first piece is bringing the new energy to the beer scene. So what you can see here is, I like to think of it, it's a bit of a Culture Kings vibe of a brand. No other beer brand is really taking this marketing positioning. I think it's really powerful. It's very suited to Nick. This is very much his style. But we're also a very proudly Australian-owned and produced beer, and really led and headed up by Nick Kyrgios. We're going to redefine the industry. We're going to have impact, passion, quality, innovation, edge, urban, adventurous culture. And this will enable us to really challenge the best of the best. Now, the best way to really bring this to life is why Nick? Like, you might say, but Nick's really polarizing, and there's so many other brand ambassadors you could have chosen. And what I'll say here is, Nick Kyrgios is a powerhouse brand in himself. He's basically, if you look on our socials and you look on his socials, he's completely embedded in this brand. He is a co-owner, not just a brand ambassador. He believes in our values, which is about this shared commitment to breaking barriers, defying expectations, ignoring stuffy conventions, really challenging the category norms, creating a modern, contemporary, urban take on beer that really resonates with a younger generation of beer drinkers coming through, and being really disruptive. And that's what Nick is. Whether you love him or hate him, he's a media powerhouse. He's completely commercially savvy. He's just a powerhouse, and we absolutely love him, and he really embodies and personifies our brand. We couldn't think of a better person to really stand behind this brand than Nick. As I said, media powerhouse. So even just in the short period of time we've been around, he's just all over the news. He's been on Channel 9 News, he's been on Nova Radio, in all the major newspapers. Really talked about, he's making a huge comeback on the tennis scene. So he's going to be playing in the Australian Open. So he's in full lockdown training now. But he's savvy. He's really come into his own, and he's been he's got his own brand that's building. I mean, he's been offered a $22 million commentating contract for Wimbledon, US Open. So he's really, really, really big. The other thing I wanted to mention as well is he's really helping support retailers as well. So he's shouting out to retailers, really promoting their business as well as ours. I don't know if you're aware of this, but Nick has a podcast called Good Trouble. So he's got very strong international celebrity connections. So he's interviewed the likes of Mike Tyson, Novak Djokovic, Matthew McConaughey, Gordon Ramsay, to name just a few. But Stryda will be completely embedded into his podcast. He'll be wearing Stryda get up. He'll have the beer there. He'll be sharing the beer with his celebrity connections. And this is just an example of the powerhouse that he is and his ability to put this brand on a global stage. How are we going to amplify him? Well, completely through the line. He's got 5.1 million followers across all the respective social outlets. Will be completely integrated within his podcast, Good Trouble. He's going to be making appearances at all of our key events, including in-store appearances and on-premise. He's going to be the face of our brand, so he will be featuring across our advertising materials, our assets. If you haven't gone onto our Instagram page, please do so. He's completely embedded and integrated across all of our, across everything we do. We're going to be running a bunch of social competitions, give back. If people aren't aware, Nick Kyrgios is all about giving back to communities. So we're going to be doing a lot of just kind drops, money can't buy experiences that Nick will be giving away to our followers and obviously investors, and year-round PR, really amplifying Nick's and our partnership. So I'm going to hand you over to David, and he's going to talk about the second pillar of our strategy.
Yeah, so as we're touching on there, thanks, Kirsty. We're setting out to build a multi-dimensional business framework here. So Stryda always was more than just a beer brand, and you can kind of probably from the initial slides get a look and feel for how we're going to market and how we kind of present, and the potential for this brand is absolutely huge. So we're more than just a beer brand. We're investing in owned and leased hospitality venues and real estate assets as part of our growth strategy. This gives, we'll be putting the Stryda touch to all of our venues. But the Stryda touch and the Stryda experience will vary from venue to venue. Each one will offer a unique experience in its own right. And we're really, excited about the venues as well, because from that we can really anchor in local communities. From the pictures there, you can see Wagga Wagga and Glenora, which will be coming live probably Q4 2024. We'll go into that soon, but really create community venues, different style experiences, family-friendly venues, and as well as the sort of VIP experiences. So talking about the first cab off the rank there, we're very proud to have just purchased the Thirsty Crow in Wagga Wagga, which is a well-established brewery. It's a very exciting space with a huge amount of potential, and the outgoing owners have done a fantastic job of building the reputation of that brewery. Nationwide, they do things like vanilla milk stout, which is talked about far outside of Wagga's sphere of influence. So we're very proud to be taking that on, and it's very exciting. It's 2,500 square meters of real estate in Wagga CBD, and we get the keys of that next week. So we're taking on the property, the brewing facilities, the stock, and all operational assets. It does have 2 residential apartments above as well, so there's additional income there. We're currently able to produce around 1 million litres a year through that facility, which we'll be maximising so that it's running full capacity as much as possible. And this really kind of gives us a wealth of, it opens up a lot of new doors for us as a company. We can try limited releases. We'll be retaining some of the Thirsty Crow's beers as well, especially ones that have a huge local following. We might look to, increase the volume of some of those local popular releases that are currently in the Thirsty Crow, but also enhances our efficiencies, our production optimization, and boosts revenue and profitability massively across the company. So, and another massive exciting thing there is the development opportunity. So it's a huge site in Wagga CBD. We've already had initial conversations with the council, and what we'll look to do is add a lot of value to that premises and put a big wedding venue or something, experience venue on the back of it, where it's supported. Glenora, that Glenora Brewery, Whiskey Distillery and Tasting venue. So we just got approval for that one, and looking to commence construction first quarter 2025. This is very exciting as well. And as I talked about the kind of variety and range of the experiences that Stryda is going to be offering, this one's going to be a very artisan, bespoke, research and development, tasting, kind of very classy, nice ambience, classical music. It's a very small person capacity, even though it's a large site. It's really designed to bring that boutique artisan experience. So out of this place, we can produce 50,000 litres of beer, which is for the local community, to make sure that we provide fresh beer, fresh locally produced beer. It's very small volume, and as I say, it's just to service this venue, not to be taken anywhere else. Whiskey and gin, that's another exciting aspect. Kirsty mentioned earlier, we'll be moving into these markets next year. So 50,000 litres of whiskey, 50,000 litres of gin, we'll be using and playing with a lot of the local botanicals as well. And this will really give us a kind of bedrock foundation for our whiskey club, which will be based out of this venue. So there'll be more information coming to that in due course, but it's designed for 1,000 members, and really exciting venue, really exciting VIP experience. As I said, we'll be expanding into whiskey, spirits, and international markets. So we're aiming to capture a larger share of the alcohol industry with a diverse product lineup here. And really, it's just to kind of add more, add a lot of weight behind the Stryda brand and really build that brand out so that, the word brand, I think, is often kind of overlooked. That's what we're setting out to achieve here. And we don't want to limit ourselves to one category. That's why we're moving into these other exciting spaces. And we aim to grow our presence in international markets where we see strong demand for authentic, high quality Australian brands. Already in the last few weeks, we've had huge amount of interest from international markets in Southeast Asia, India, where some pretty serious distributors have reached out, and they're excited about the potential and opportunity to take Stryda there.
Fantastic. And the fourth and final piece is really supporting community and connection. And we're going from really high-end events and sponsorships all the way down to your really local sporting events, because they're both really important. This is all about really amplifying our brand, connecting with our audience, celebrating the community, but getting liquid on lips is really important. And we are all about that Stryda experience. So getting out there, talking to our consumers. So we're going to be continuing with being the beer sponsor of the Ultra Music Festival. So we're next to some big hitting brands here, like there's Diageo and there's Red Bull and then there's Stryda, and we really, really fit in with that. But we're super proud to give back to communities and really support the local footy community as well. So we're a fairly new brand, but we are moving really quickly and really at lightning speed, and we've achieved some pretty big things so far. So really Q4 2023 last year, we really just started to build our foundation. So this was a soft product launch. We went into market testing. We did product seeding. We had to set up all the supply chain and pricing. But as soon as we did that, we just moved really, really fast. So we became the exclusive beer sponsor of Ultra Music Festival. We are going to continue that partnership year on year. We were starting to get a lot more demand, so we needed to build our sales team. So we grew our sales team to a fleet of 7 feet on the ground. And that really got us seen and got us into national wholesale independent ranging. So all major liquor wholesalers now range us. That means that we are open up to distribution in all major independent retailers. Then Nick Kyrgios loved what we were doing. He said, I need to come on here. I'm going to come on as a co-owner and a brand ambassador. And he's really boosted us. Dan Murphy's got on board. We've partnered with them. National online ranging. So this just means that we're available to anyone, anywhere in Australia. And already we've just talked about the real estate venues. This is just the beginning. We've done all this in a very short period of time, but we are going to move at lightning speed. Couple of the things that have shaped the alcohol industry and why we're doing what we're doing and why we saw a gap in the market. The thing is, beer remains the largest segment in alcohol, nearly 7 million. That's 39% of all alcohol consumers still enjoy a beer. But the market dynamics are changing. So by 2026, Gen Z and millennials will make up 52% of the drinking age population. They will replace baby boomers as the biggest group of drinking. So with that, there's a change in interest. So these consumers are interested in low and no alcohol options, really aligning with that mindful drinking. There's also economic factors influencing how consumers are spending on alcohol. They're demanding quality, but they're wanting value, they're wanting quality, they're wanting experiences that align with their lifestyles. So that's where we said, we just feel like we need to create a brand that's on trend and on point, and our real modern approach to beer. Obviously, Nick, we spoke about him enough, but he's really leading the charge. We're coming in with something bold and disruptive. We're completely positioned outside of the craft category. So we are not a craft beer. We are a mainstream beer. We are priced affordably at accessible prices for that value-driven consumer. And we're aligned with those contemporary drinking trends. We've got a range that resonates. We've got the low alcohol options. We're going to be looking at other options as well. But really, that bringing that modern, cool, community engagement really will differentiate us from traditional brands. So I'm going to hand you over to Riaz, and he's going to talk about our current product range.
Thanks, Kirsty. Awesome. So like Kirsty was mentioning, we've got a modern mainstream beer. We're not going for the classic craft. We're doing niche things. We're really after something that tastes good, looks good, feels good, and actually does good, whether that be for the community or for the people that are buying it. We are creating an accessible beer. We want to make this brand, and we've created something that is disruptive with really energetic marketing that is complemented by our quality and accessible style beers. These beers are beers that are aligned with the category trends that Kirsty was mentioning before, and we've been able to see with the category sales data that we've been getting, they're very much in line with what people are purchasing. We've got these beers that are modernizing for beers for millennials. And what we're really trying to do is keep innovating and bringing out beers that are going to be in line with the category norms. As you can see, we've got our classic 4.4% lager, which is a large range and one of the largest selling beer categories that there are out there. And we've also broken through and innovated a 2.2, which you'll be seeing a lot of other brands trying to copy and come and do the same kind of thing, leading towards the millennial market. In the new year, we've got new product pipeline, as you can see, with Super Crisp, Pale Ale, and some low non-alc versions that we're going to be doing as well. So all of these are really in line with what we've been getting from the sales data and category trends from the big players. Our beers, full flavored, yet easy drinking. We've got it so that they're low in calories, low carb, and they still maintain the great quality flavor that you would expect within each beer.
Perfect. Thanks, Riaz.
Right.
And we're also getting great reviews as well. I'm not going to read this out, but a lot of people are just saying, wow, it's super easy drinking. It's high quality, great for the barbecue. Some people are even saying it's less bloating than other beers, but I think Riaz, you've done an amazing job with that product development. He's got like a decade of experience, and we're super lucky to have Riaz on board for these product developments. David's going to talk about the company structure, which is quite important as potential investors, because you will get multiple parts of this business, and David will mention.
Yeah, so as we discussed earlier, we're really going at this hammer and tongs, with multiple different divisions and multiple different revenue streams, and the opportunity and the strategy for growth is huge. So, the brand there's been a lot of work on into it thus far, and as Kirsty said, we've only really soft launched, and and gained some massive traction in the last few months, and particularly in the last few weeks with Nick coming on board. But always the underlying thing is we've been putting a huge amount of work into these venues and planning, looking and acquisition and things. So the opportunity at the minute for shareholders to come on board is very, very exciting. Stryda's potential is definitely ahead of it. In the future, some of these companies, some of these different revenue streams and whiskey and gin and things like that, we may divest, but you guys coming on board now will be part of that. So you come in to the Stryda Brewing Holdings Group, which owns outright the Wagga property. It also owns the IP, Stryda Brewing Co, all our contracts, employees, everything like that. So we're just trying to streamline it and consolidate the group so that it's very easy for investors to see how they're coming in. In the future, we may break down and expand into different trust structures and things like that. But the opportunity now is you invest in Stryda Brewing Holdings Group, you get a slice of all of that, what we are now, and moving forward, there'll be an opportunity there as well. So you're investing in the brand, equity, you're investing in the team, and you're investing in, and it's all underpinned with the real estate assets.
Great. And like really moving into next year, and this is really going to be the last few slides and then over to questions, but really ramping everything up. So obviously we're going to go really hard with the Summer of Tennis, big advertising campaign, lots of activations around the AO. Obviously makes sense with Nick playing in the AO. Lots of property development is going to start to happen. So upgrades to the Thirsty Crow, and then really starting the construction of the Glenorie property, ramping up production, doing the new product development, building our, really building upon more and more ranging and distribution points. Then again, Ultra Music Festival, and then really starting to, like by the middle of the year, pushing into international markets, starting with India distribution. And we're not stopping with additional real estate acquisition. So we're going to be looking at acquiring tap rooms. Our goal really is to have a tap room in every state of Australia. And then by the end of the year, we'll be moving into the hard launch of Glenorie property, and building that whiskey range and building the whiskey membership club. Marketing is going to be a big thing that we're doing as well into next year. The two key things is really about building brand awareness and trial, and really visibility at that point of purchase. So huge brand amplification led by Nick and through his large social media, a big focus on paid digital and social. We're going to be focusing very much on experiential and sponsorships because we are community focused. We want to get out there, we want to be with the people, and we want to bring our energy to a lot of these events. Lots of year-round awareness via media partnerships as well. And we've also got other key influencers, celebrities and sports stars that are really coming behind this brand, and they're going to help to drive our PR and credibility from these third parties. But we have to make sure that really the buck stops in the store and in the venue. So driving strong brand visibility in store and in venue, really amplifying this brand across all of our owned venues, really ensuring that we've got a key, robust key trading period strategy. So making sure that we're on specials at the right time, and really offering exciting promotions. Like we want to do things differently. We want to shake things up. We want to give back to people and do some really cool money can't buy experiences. So that's really going to be the focus for marketing in the next year. The other thing, just really quickly, and this is the last slide, but there are benefits of becoming a Stryda investor. So we always say, like, become a Strydan. We're trying to create a movement here, and we're super passionate. We'd love all of you to jump on board. But there's rewards. I'll put this up on our page so you can look at it in more detail. But everything from discounts on our sales, ongoing discounts at our tap rooms and venues, access to owner-only events that Nick will be at, free merchandise, free Stryda beer, because we are all about giving back. And if you come on as an investor, we'll make sure we look after you like a Stryda. So that's it from us. That's our presentation. I think it was about half an hour. So really looking forward to all your questions. But otherwise, that's our brand in a nutshell.
Thank you so much, guys. That was amazing. Really, really loved it. If you could stop sharing your screen so I can see your face. Perfect. Thank you so, so much. So we've got a few questions that have already come through. So I think this one might have been cleared up, but because there are multiple holding companies and ABNs for Stryda, what exactly is an investment in Stryda buying?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that. So we have consolidated it and streamlined it. So you're buying into Stryda, you're buying ordinary shares in Stryda Holding Company, which owns the Wagga property outright. It owns the brand IP, and it also owns all aspects of Stryda Brewing Co, the team, the contracts, all of that stuff, etc. So we've kind of tried to simplify it, Emily. You know, we are, as I say, looking to expand internationally, and in the future there definitely will be divesting. There will be subsidiaries, there will be international subsidiaries that we create as well. But now it's an amazing opportunity to answer your question. You're investing in everything that Stryda owns, and you'll be carried forward. So we look at some of the other companies' models where you set up a Stryda Australia as the parent company. We set up Stryda India as an international subsidiary. The parent company will always own the majority of the international subsidiary. Therefore, if you own in the parent company, which is what the offer is now, you'll be carried right through.
Great, thank you so much. So currently there are a few owners of Stryda and a few different shareholders. What do the other co-owners bring to the table other than their investment, and what portion of ownership is being offered up through this offer?
Yeah, so we have kept it tight. Like we've kept the equity in Stryda quite tight. A lot of other brands have went out and you've got a huge amount of investors on board early on. While we've been working on this, we're very kind of proud to have kept it tight. And really, we needed more than just capital from our investors. So we needed to bring more than just the capital value. We needed your contributions as well. So Nick's the third biggest shareholder in the company. That'll become clear. As Kirsty mentioned before, we've also got another sporting personality, James Maloney. He's a minority shareholder as well. And then the rest of the shareholders are really just the team, with a couple people who have just bought in with capital but can bring value down the track, that have other businesses that can help and support Stryda, not only in Australia but in other markets. To answer the question about what we're offering, we are offering up to 9% of the company, and it depends. We're receiving a huge amount of interest through this campaign. And there's a lot of conversations happening at the minute, but up to 9% of the company, which, as I said, just for clarity, is everything. So you buy into Stryda Holdings. You're buying part of the real estate portfolio, Wagga being fully owned. Glenora property, just for clarity, is leased to Stryda on a 20+ year lease. You're buying into the brand equity, which is exponential. With Nick and how we are geared and how we're scaling, it's very, very exciting.
Brilliant, thank you. So covering high-end and low-end markets has shown that it's been historically hard to achieve. How much market research has been completed by the company so far to understand where you fit into the market?
Yeah, a lot of market research. We've basically spent 18 months doing market research, and for a long time, I kind of described Stryda, from the outside, everybody saw the strength of the brand and everything, but it looked like a mill pond, in the sense of on the surface, not a lot happening for sort of 18 months, but under the surface and behind the scenes, we're conducting a huge amount of market tests and huge amount of market research. And as I sort of said in that deck, and the guys done a fantastic job of explaining, Stryda is different offerings from high to low. There will be the kind of VIP artisan experience, those products, but and then there's also the kind of mainstream beers that we're going to market with at the minute, which is a very ambitious task in its own right. I mean, you're up against some ubiquitous brands that are deeply entrenched in Australian society, and where we have put a huge amount of work into our supply chains, into our costings, so that we can bring another big thing which is very important for us as a company is accessibility. So although we're kind of money can't buy experiences, VIP experiences, family friendly experiences, all of it, we want to be accessible. We want this to be a really pronounced Australian established household brand and create a legacy brand. So to do that, we want to be accessible to all. So yeah, quality doesn't need to be inaccessible from a price point. So yeah, I hope that kind of answers the questions. We're taking on the lower end and the higher end in terms of experience, but even our premium whiskies and gins and things like that, they will be affordably priced. They're not going to be out of reach.
Brilliant, thank you. So with the takeover of the Thirsty Crow, has any research been done on making sure the existing customer base is transitioned into the new look or brand?
Yeah, we have spent a bit of time in Wagga, and we have spoke to a lot of locals. And as I said, the outgoing owners of the Thirsty Crow have done a fantastic job, and they've got a very good reputation. But our plan for that facility is to go in there business as usual, retain the team. We're putting in a new venue manager. We want to support local as well, local jobs and all of that. There's some popular local beers there, which we're going to keep as well. And then gradually we'll upgrade that venue so that it can upgrade it towards the goal of rebranding it at some point in 2025 as the House of Stryda, where we and we'll do a kind of hard launch out there once the venue we feel offers the Stryda experience that we want there. So, and to answer the question, Wagga is a great town. There's a reason that we chose it. We looked at venues across New South Wales, different venues in Sydney, and we selected Wagga because we feel that there's a huge the demographic out there is hugely supportive, and we think there's a lot of potential in the town, and we're proud to set up home there, and get Stryda going, and do Wagga proud and do the outgoing owners proud.
Brilliant, thank you. So looking ahead with your strategy, how are you planning to sell the beer? Is it all on-premise or off-premise? How do you plan to handle tap contracts owned by the multinationals? And what are sales like at the moment? And do you have any owned taps in venues yet? Yeah,
so everybody kind of says, which really fired us up more and more. And we mentioned it earlier, you're really going up against some very established companies who I've said in other interviews where a lot of the market, and we're extremely kind of conscientious. We see what's happening out there, we feel what's happening out there, and there's a lot of breweries and microbreweries and craft breweries that are doing it very tough, and we really feel for those guys. And a lot of the kind of a lot of the fault of that is kind of directed at the big guys. So to kind of combat that, we've brought a product to market with a very different energy. It's very strong. We feel it instantly kind of fits into that mainstream fridge. It's at an affordable price point, and it looks good, it feels good, and we've got aggressive marketing behind it. We've got Nick involved as well, as I say, and we're definitely purchasing taps as well. We have to play that game. We have to be affordable, and the big sort of target for 2025 is really building out our sales team, really building out our distribution nationally and internationally. So Look, it's not easy. I would be lying if I said anything to the contrary. But we've really set this company up for success and set this company up for sustainability. So we're exercising our own kind of leverage in the space to make sure that we can obtain the market share that Stryda needs.
Great, thank you. So with the mid-strength low-carb beer options, currently you're selling in cases of 16, whilst competitors in the global brands you aim to compete with sell in cases of 24. Is this something that you would look to change and compare across the board?
I think I'll start, and then Riaz, if you want to jump in on this, but we saw it as a competitive advantage going into a 16-pack. It enables us to get really sharp pricing and great margins for retailers and also for us. So when we're not about doing what everyone else is doing, which is 24 packs, it's definitely something we will look into. We did market research and we felt like that was the right play for us. We have looked into 24 packs, but in terms of getting the right retailer margins, that's what we're going for. But Riaz, did you want to jump in and?
And we did look at it, and from a product price point of view, a lot of people, what they're looking for is to sit in that 30 kind of below $40 range. With that, when we can expand and with your investment, we're going to be able to do larger scale batches, which will then be able to bring 24 packs under that kind of the figure that they're wanting. And that's really where we'll be able to go forward with the kind of expansion on the investment. So we definitely can, and it's a very easy transition for us to make. It's just that what we're wanting to do is expand so that we can make those calls when we would like to.
Brilliant, thank you. Is the aim for Stryda products to be stocked in bottle shops across the country? And if so, how will that strategy roll out?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're in talks with all the major nationals now. So there's range review periods. So for instance, Endeavour Group is in February, Coles is in August. So we've already had multiple conversations with them. They've seen a lot of our advertising. So our goal is to really get a lot of these national partners on. We are building very strong distribution across the independent chain as well. But yes, definitely, like we will be stocked in every state. We are focusing for now in New South Wales and Queensland, but we will be spreading out to other states as well.
Yeah, and it's key for us, really, Emily, national ranging, national distribution. So, as I say, we have talks, and we are just putting a lot into our foundation and our fundamentals to make sure that, in 2025, we're really in a position to massively capitalize on the opportunities that are going to be given to us. But I think it's also worth mentioning, with what we can bring from a media, Nick, Kirsty talked about Nick being a media powerhouse before, and the media attention and things we can bring to the right distribution partner is huge. So we're definitely looking for partners that align with our energy and what we're trying to do here. So yeah, now 2025 is about building out our distribution, building out a national range, and building out our brand accessibility and visibility.
Brilliant. So there's been a few questions around the ownership, and just so everybody's aware, when the offer does go live, you'll be able to see the full cap table in the offer document. So if you haven't registered your interest for the offer, please do so on birchal.com. I'll pop the link in the chat. As some of your ABNs have just recently been registered, has there been a recent change of strategy?
Zeta, is this one for?
Yeah, no, it's not a change in strategy. It's kind of consolidating things. But Zeta, I might let you. Zeta sets everything up for us, so she could probably answer it a bit more concisely.
Sure. So the purpose was to create an Australian tax consolidated group. So recently, the directors of the company have obtained tax advice, and this will just be the best way to move the business forward. So buying shares in the holding group will mean that you have equity in the subsidiaries. So those recently registered ABNs is purely around setting up the consolidated tax group.
Great, thank you. That was very helpful. So will your products come from Wagga or will it come from brewing partners? And is the plan to ever have it all done in-house or to use brewing partners too?
I'm happy to jump in with that. I was just going to reply to that one, Gia, directly. But yes, at the moment, we aren't producing out of Wagga. So we do already have trade agreements and contracts in place with some really, really big brewing partners. So our scale is unable to be kind of limited. We're able to really expand really, really fast and across different states as well. So not only have we been discussing over here, but we've also been looking overseas at where else we're able to expand it. So no, it won't just be Wagga. And as we mentioned, we're also going to be opening Glenorrhea and we're looking at other facilities as well. So it's not just a two house place. We're looking at opening many, many venues that we're going to be able to brew out of, not only brew out of, but also then help our trade, our shipping, and bring all of those elements down by focusing on local areas around and working with big trading partners.
Yeah, and I think just to add to that as well, Emily, a lot of it, you know, as I said, the production at the local facilities, you know, the capacity varies, you know, like Glenorrhea is very, very small. As I say, it's just designed to service, you know, provide local fresh beer for that venue. Wagga, you know, up to 1 million litres. Some of that may be, you know, distributed nationally, but yeah, the vast majority of it will service Wagga and its sphere of influence as well. And as I said, we've got some, you know, amazing partnership with a very large scale brewery as well. So, you know, we can produce as much as we need. And future plans will be that we will set up a large scale manufacturing facility, yeah, down the track, mid to sort of long term, I would imagine. And also, you know, you've just got to be, you know, sensible and strategic business wise. So, you know, with some of the international distributors that we're talking to at the minute, initially we will be shipping from Australia, but you know that obviously comes with big costs, tariffs and freight and things like that. So, you know, the view would be once we market and gain a lot of traction using Australian product in those markets, you know, and the brand starts to get a good foothold, we'll be looking to produce locally, internationally as well. So, you know, we're really open to yeah, a multitude of different areas of production, different production sites, and just making sure that, you know, our quality obviously has to be uncompromising, and you know, we need to kind of have the elasticity and yeah, be flexible, because obviously, you know, it's different pricing at different markets, and yeah, we need to just be able to respond and put things in place to make sure that we produce a product at an accessible price point in those markets.
Great, thank you. So with one focus being on real estate, can you share a bit of your strategy on where and when you plan to expand over the medium to long-term future?
Yeah, so yeah, as I say, Wagga, which we're very excited about, Glenorrhea, we've mentioned. The next one, which we're, you know, we would like to probably invest in is Northwest Sydney as well, in the Hills area. We feel that that's underserviced. We feel that, you know, it's a great demographic. We've had a huge amount of support there, and yeah, we want to create a kind of family-friendly tap room there, which will also have a small production facility, I would think. And just, yeah, really build our presence there. And then, yeah, as Kirsty said, we'll be extrapolating that and expanding interstate. You know, we're getting a lot of support from Queensland. We'll probably look at there next. You know, but eventually the plan is to have venues across Australia, and when we move into international markets, the strategy is the same. We'll look to acquire those venues and bring them, add to the real estate portfolio overseas, as well as here in Australia.
Awesome, thank you. David, can you give a little bit of information on what your background is? Is this your first startup, or do you have any previous beverage market experience?
No. So my background, I was plumbing, and then initially way back, and we moved into different engineering aspects. So no, I set up a company in Sydney, specialising in like height safety systems and things, which scaled very well. And yeah, as a result, there was a few vertical integrations there. So we also own a facilities management company and strata company as well as another construction division. So now, big focus for me personally is business. Building a business model that works, building a business model that is sustainable. And Stryda is very, very challenging, but very, very exciting. So no, I don't have previous beverage experience, but I do have previous business experience. And Stryda is first and foremost built around a business model that works.
And I think the other thing, just to add to that, is there's a team of very experienced alcohol people.
Yeah.
So myself, I've got 13 years in the industry. So I came from Campari Group, and I launched Aperol Spritz into the market. I also managed Wild Turkey. So I've personally got a lot of experience in the industry. Riaz owned and operated his own brewing facility. He's got 10 years experience. Dave Mullen, who's our sales director, he's got over 10 years experience. Our project manager, 15 years experience in alcohol. So whilst David doesn't come from that background, he's surrounded himself with a team that does.
Yeah, and I feel very privileged to be with the team that we have, as I said earlier. So yeah, it's just we have had to build a team that really a structure and a strategy that really facilitates massive growth for this brand to realize the potential that was born to sort of realize.
Brilliant, thank you. So are you currently keeping up with demand, and with the national and international partners you're currently in talks with? Are you set up to service the influx in demand as it comes, or will there be a substantial investment in infrastructure to increase supply on top of Wagga?
Yes, I'll let you handle that one.
Yeah. No, we are definitely keeping up with demand, and we have the ability, like I mentioned before, with our brewing partners, we have the ability to scale very, very fast and very, very large very quickly. So what we've got with Wagga, it's able to service our local New South Wales area, and same with our brewing partners. We're able to create enough to easily meet demand both internationally and locally. And that's not just with one partner. We'll be able to, scale with our other venues that we're looking at as well.
Brilliant. It looks like we might have come to the end of our questions, which is great. There have been some really great questions today. I would encourage anybody who hasn't already expressed interest in the offer to do so that you can be kept up to date with any new updates from the company, and you'll know when the offer does go live to the public. There are incentives for people who get on board during the priority access period, which is just open to those who express interest in the campaign. So you will have access to delayed payment terms. And if you do have any questions that you might not have gotten to ask today, please reach out to the team at Stryda. There is a message button on the Birchal platform. So just press that and you'll be in touch with the team. But thank you so much for your time today, sharing everything about Stryda. We're really, really excited to see the offer go live next week, and keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah. No,
Thanks, Emily.
Thanks, Emily, and thanks everybody for the interest, and get on board. It's a very exciting journey. It's very exciting what we're setting out to achieve, and we won't stop until we do.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.